Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the class. I hope you people are good and safe at your home, and I hope you people are following the timetable what you prepared earlier. And if you prepared earlier than that, it will be very good. And if you are following, it will be very appreciable and it will be very good. And please take care of your health. Complete your exercise. Give answer for those questions which is given in a exercise. And if you have more than one reference book, it will be very good. And if you have only one reference book, then it will be okay. But if you don't have any reference book, it's not good for this 10th class because you require a reference book. I will say why. What the questions, the type of questions will be different, is not. The way which they ask questions will be different, but answer will be same. They will ask to explain about India. It's a very explain about Indian culture. Explain about Indian culture. Suppose it's a very simple questions. Everybody can understand that, is not. The answer required 5 points or 10 points or 5 to 6 points for 5 marks or 3 marks. Same questions will be asked in a different way, where you will get a problem or where you will get a difficult to understand that question first, but the answer will be same. So that reason you need to get into the many different types of questions. So in order to get or have a familiar with the different types of questions, we should refer different types of reference books and also make use of your internet. Get a previous question papers there, work into that and solve the question papers. Is not the questions the answers will be the same, but the question will be asked in a different way. So here it's required to get many what you call the reference books, and working according to that requires a lot of that requires a lot of what you call hard work from you people. So we'll start the next chapter of history. So here in the last we have discussed about the first and the second chapter. Is not that the first chapter and the second chapter of history will be considered, and you will be getting questions in your what you call the board examinations. You will be getting questions regarding the first and second chapter of history. But what I will be discussing a third chapter, it's only for the periodic test. You will get a questions only in the periodic test. This chapter will not be included in your board examinations. So here you will discuss briefly about this chapter, the chapter number 3 in the history. We will be discussing briefly about this. No need of going very deeply, because this chapter only will be included in the periodic test. You will get a questions about this chapter in the periodic test, not in your the board examinations. So that reason we will start to discuss about the third chapter. It's a making of a global world. What is this? What does headline or what is this heading that says about? And every chapter will be having its own headings. That heading, by reading that heading, by understanding that heading, we can understand that what we are going to discuss in this chapter. It's not like nationalism in India. So that says, so whatever the concept you will be reading in that chapter will be regarding the nationalism in India. Rise of nationalism in the Europe. Europe is a continent that has different types of countries. So we'll be discussing about. We have discussed about the republic or independence war and the revolutions which has taken place in the Europe. We have discussed all those things. Same like here in this chapter, the making of global world. So what do you mean by global world? We know the globe. It's a whole world. Then global world. So globe and the world is somewhat similar. So what is the global world? Is not. What is that global world? So global world is globalization. Globalizing the world. So globalizing is nothing but connecting with other countries is a globalization. Connecting with the other countries. So in what terms, what is that connections in connection, is that the connection of a land and the water? What is that? No, the connection in trade activities, in exporting, importing activities, connection in exchanging the technologies, having connections in the relations, the friend relations, having connections in support. So it's all, and in having connection in publishing or what you call selling their product in their country. So it's all the globalizing world, and joining together, gathering together, joining their hands and supporting others. So it's all globalizing the world. So that's what we'll be discussing. So now we'll start a first concept, main concept is about the pre-modern world. Pre-modern world. What is that? Pre means previous modern world. How was the previous modern world? The modern world somewhat it begins from the 17th centuries and 17th, 18th century. In the 18th century, that begins the modern world. 17, 18 mainly, it begins from the 15th century, the modern world, in the world. But in India, that begins from the 18th century. From the 18th century, the modern world begins in India. But in other areas, from the 15th or 12th century, the modern world. In the 15th century, modern world has begun. 15th, 16th century. So, how was the condition in economy or in the international global? Means how was the condition of a relation at that time before the modern world? So here we need to understand the term globalization. The globalization refers to an economic system that has emerged since the last 50 years or so. It's economic system, isn't it? Globalizing, it's having connection with other countries in exchanging their goods, importing, exporting, sharing their knowledges and supporting. This all is of economy. To increase the economy of our India, what we have to do? We have to sell our product. What the products are being produced in India has to be sold in other countries. So other country people, they will give you money, isn't it? And with the use of that money, we can create some more. We can make a development in our country. And whatever the things are required for the every people in India, it's not available in India. We need to borrow from other country, isn't it? In exchange, in selling our goods to the other country or borrowing the goods from other country, it's required the relationship. It required the interaction. It requires the conversation. It requires particular relation. It requires particular acceptance, is not? So it's required. It's a globalization. It's globalizing, connecting each other. It's a globalization. So yeah, the earlier, how was the condition? How it has started? How the globalization has begun? The early people, the ancient people, the nomads. The nomads, they were moving from one place to another places in search of food. It's not. In search of food, they were moving from one place to another places. But they didn't know the idea of settlement. They were living in the cave, on the tree. It's not. They didn't know about preparing a food. They were killing the animals, eating the flesh, wet fleshes they were eating. And gradually the every other taste and every other ideas of settlement and many other things, then people gradually started to go for the other places in search of food, because as the population got increases, demand started to increase. It's started to increase same like as the population increased. So as the demand increased, people, to satisfy their needs and the demand, they started to move from one place to another places. So while they started to move from one place to another places, so while this group of people, they are moving to other places, they found people who are living there, the group of people. Then they have got the conversation with them. They started to understand about their lifestyle. They started to understand their culture. They got a friendship, is not? Then suppose in other group of people they are invented something, they have invented wheel. And the group of people who are living in that other country, means other part of a world or other part of a area, they invented a wheel, they are making use of wheel, but this group of people they are not making use of that. So when the one or some group of people who move to there and they will get information of wheel and they will implement in their group of people, then they will make use of a wheel, is not? So it's exchanging their ideas, is not? So as the people population got increased, they started to move from one place to another places. When they started to move from one place to another places, they started to get to know the informations. Informations of a new things got emerged. They are started to implement it. And when the population got increased further, they have created their own community. They have started to create their own family, community, group, and territory. It has become empire. Then people they started to have war in between them. Is it not? They started to invade. They started to kill others. This all the things happened. Then afterwards, people started to gather. Means they have connected to each other in a different way, even though they are in a different diverse. Then they started to connect each other. That was globalization began. It's not. The term globalization refers to the integration of economy of the nations with the world economy. Integration of a economy is not of the nations. Every nations will be having their own economy. Economy economic activities. The activity which is based on money, which requires money. By agriculture, you will get a money after selling the products. It's not. Then afterwards in industry you will get a money, and every people what they will do, what they will does a work in their daily life is getting money. For getting money, except some other except that. But every people will does their work to get a money. So these all the activities are dependent on money. Money is economy. It's called as economy. It's not. Here, to increase our Indian economy, we need to connect with the others, is not? So I'm like that. Every country they need, means they aspire to make a development in their economic activity. So that reason they started to connected with each other, means in a world economy. So this every individual economy, every country's economy connected with the world economy. World means everything. When every economy connected each other, it is called world economy. So it's called as globalization. Then human society have steadily more interlinked. Steadily it's interlinked. The human society. It's not only the human activities like exporting goods and importing goods. It's not only like that. So human society also started to get interlinked. For the first beginning, initially, human society got interlinked. Then afterwards, we started to have import and export activity. We started to get activities of economy after the interlink of a human society, is not. So they are travelers, traders, priests, and pilgrims travel vast distance for carrying goods, money, ideas, skill, inventions, and even gems and diseases, is not. The travelers, in the medieval Indian history, might we know about many poets and the many writers. They have traveled to India. Ibn Battuta and many other people they have came to India. They were travelers. America was busy. So he invented, means he the found America because he is traveler. He was a sailor, is not. He was gone by traveling, then he has found that continent, then he has named this America. Same like the all important and all other continents and places are being found because of our travelers. Our India got popular in the world. It's got its own demand in the world because of Europeans. Europeans they came to India. Europeans and Arabs and the West Asia people, Arabs and Europeans, when they came to India, they started to get to know the wealth which was there in India. Wealth and the culture and the heritage of India has got spread because of this all the people. These all peoples are travelers. Because of the travelers, the Ibn Battuta it may be, and many other people in the medieval Indian history when the monarch was ruling. And that time they came to India and they have written about Indian culture, the administration of monarchy, then the wealthness of India. They have written in their own book. Then that book got circulated to the whole world. Then the people started to get information about India. Is it not? So that is how the travelers they have started to move from one place to another places. They have shared their ideas. They have shared their experiences. Is it not? They have earned their money. They earn money. Is it not? Then the traders by exporting the goods and importing the goods, they started to earn their money. And the priests they started to move from one place to another places. Pilgrims, in order to visit their traditional god, they started to move from one place to another places, and in between they have shared their ideas, experience, every other things. So because of all these things, the whole world got globalization. Then Indus Valley civilization was linked with the West Asia. Indus Valley civilization, the first Indian civilization which was started on the bank of Indus, is not? Indus ಅದು ಒಂದು ನದಿ. ಸೊ ಆ ನದಿಯ ದಂಡೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಈ ಭಾರತದ ನಾಗರಿಕತೆ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್? ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಸಿವಿಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಲಿಂಕ್ಡ್ ವಿತ್ ದ ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಏಷ್ಯಾ. Western Asia, it has got a link with the Western Asia. So we have some similarities of Western Asia people, what they follow. The Aryans, they have gone from India to the Western Asia, is not? And we had the exchange of a people there in that time, the ancient period, when the civilization has begun, is not? So that also led for having a globalization. Then cowrie is a form of a currency from the Maldives, is not? From Maldives they got a form of a currency, cowries, and it has got different means, it has got spread. The dollar also it is there somewhat in India, is not? We'll have exchange the dollar and rupee in India. We got information of a dollar and the euro and many other currencies, and many other world they got information of rupees. It's not. It's all because of globalization. So in under this we'll discuss about the first important link, the international link, or the international what you call the highway, we can call it as a first international highway. It's Silk Route. The Silk Route is an international super highway, the Silk Route. This Silk Route is on land, it's a land route. Silk Route is a land route. Why do you call it as a Silk Route? What is that Silk Route? This Silk Route was regarded as the most important route linked to the distant part of the world. So this Silk Route was linking it was having a link with the important part of a world, this important continents. That means from the China means Asia, Europe, and the Africa. So Asia, Europe, Africa, Asia, Europe. So it's the triangular link along with the India also. There was having somewhat link with the India. So this route is called as a Silk Route, where the important products from the China, from the West, from the East Asia, from the China, suppose from the East Asia to the Europe, it was traveling. It was traveling from the East Asia to the Europe. It was traveling. The important goods from the China, it was traveling to the Europe. From the Europe, it was traveling to the Africa. And they were, suppose they have some resources in Africa, they were transferring the goods from Africa to the Europe, otherwise to the Asia. It was having a link. So through this route, the important resources, important goods and commodities had been traveled. So it's called as a Silk Route. It was connected with the important continents. Routes were existed even before the Christian era and flourished till the 15th century. Christian era antandrenu? BC, AC, before Christ, after Christ, BC, AC. So from the 0, 1, and it's like a Christian era. what we are following now, it's a Christian era, is not. Christian era has a zero, it has a starting. The Christian era, it has a starting, is not. The zero, zero AC. Zero AC is the starting of a Christian era, is not. Zero BC is also the starting of, zero BC is also starting of Christian era. Because the Christian era, BC, it goes in a descending order, means in a descending order. It decreases, means it increases the descending order. Here it ascending, it's in an ascending order in the AC, is not here. So this Silk Route, it has the link of Silk Route, it has begun before from the Christian era, before BC, from the BC. The Silk Route, it has started from the BCE, before Common Era, BCE. So from the BCE, it's continued to the 15th century, means 1400 AC. So it has survived up to there, means it is continued up to the 15th century. The Buddhist preachers, Christian missionaries, and later on Muslim preachers used to travel by routes. So the Buddhist religion has originated in India, is not. It's got birth in India. So then the Buddhists, they gone to the China in this Silk Route. They have traveled. The Christians of Europeans, they came to India in this Silk Route, is not. And the Muslims, they came to India from the West Asia, from the Arab countries. The Muslims, they came to India from the Arab countries in this Silk Route. So this Silk Route, it has a significance, history. So it has the importance in the history. Historically, this Silk Route is very prominent route, where the important product and the important things was happening on that time. The route provided to be a great source of a trade and cultural link between distinct part of the world. So distinct part is about Asia, in between the Asia, Russia, Asia, Europe and the Africa earlier. The Silk Route was providing the important connection with these countries and the continents in exchanging the culture and the goods, commodities and the people and many other things got exchanged in between these routes. So then the continuation there, the conquest, diseases and trade. What is this conquest? Conquest, war, acquiring and the diseases, illness, problem and the trade. So this Silk Route has provided other continents to have the exchange or receive or sending or exchanging the goods. Is not, they got a easy way for exchanging their important goods. It may be the important cultures and the people, is not. That also led for the so many problems. What is that? Conquest. Because people, they started to move from one place to another places, they got information about other places which they have more wealth. Then they started to conquer that land. They started to get that area under their control. Like when the Europeans, they came to India. Before that, when the Arabians, they came to India, the Muslims, Arab Muslims, when they came to India in the 11, means in the beginning of 12th century, when they came to India, the Muslims, the Muhammad Ghazni, he has invaded India for the 12th time. He is from the Central Asia, Muhammad Ghazni. Why he has came to India, means why he has invaded India for the 12 times? Because to get a wealthness which was there in India. He has acquired India, is conquered India for the 12 times. But even we didn't get any less in our wealth on that time. It was the wealthness of our India which was having on that time. So to get a wealth, to grab a wealth from India, he has acquired and he has conquered for the 12 times. Then the Muhammad Ghori has came to India. Then from the Muhammad Ghori, the Muslim rule which has started in India. From there, Muslims at the beginning, they were taking the wealth of India to their places. They were carrying the wealth of India to their places. Now what they did, they started to settle in India because the culture of India, tradition of India and the wealthness of India, the people of India and the humanity of India was in that height. So that reason they wanted to settle. They conquered the areas, they are settled there. Is not? So how they got information about these things? Because of traveling. Is not? Because of traveling, all these people they got informations. So in the 16th century, after a European sailor found a sea route to Asia and America, in the 16th century, the Europeans are the people first, means European are the first people who got introduced or who got founded many different places on the earth's surface. So they are the first who got who found a silk route, means the sea route, who found a sea route to the Asia and America. They found a sea route to the America, then they have introduced it as America, then they came to India and the eastern part of Asia. They came to the eastern part of Asia and India. So then there they started to get information, and also they started to have a link with these all the continents. The Indian subcontinent had been known for bustling trade with the goods, people, custom and knowledge. It was crucial point in the trade with network. So there in the ancient period, when the Europeans they came to India, it's called as a crucial time in increasing in the trade. Because of these things, the exporting and importing of goods got increased. The Europeans they came to India, they got information about the wealthness of India, the raw materials which is abundantly produced and it's available in India. They got information about that, and they have gone to they gone back there, means they have sent their message to the European continent. From there they started to have exporting and importing trade activities. What is the trade? Trade is nothing but exporting and importing activities of goods in between the two countries or two important cities or two important territories. It's called as a trade activity, is it not? So here these trade activities has begun from the European continents, for European countries. From there they started to have a connection with Africa, America, India, Australia and the Russia and the Asia. So from there they started to get a connection with all these countries, and the Britain they started to colonize the areas of India and America and Africa, Britons, because the Africa, America and the India they had abundant wealth. So that reason they have taken that area under their control. They have started to impose the power on them. So it was the conditions, and that led how many problem and the revolution that causes for the revolution. We discuss about that. Then after the discovery of America, its vast land and abundant crop and minerals began to transform trade the lives everywhere. Here, so Argentina and the Peru, this is having more deposition of minerals on that time. Argentina, Peru, Chile of South America. The Argentina, Peru, Chile, it's about the countries in the South America. So there they had a more deposition, abundant deposition of minerals there. So when the Europeans they found America, South America, then they got information about minerals which is found over there, which is there in the South America. Then they started to take that minerals for increasing the economy of European countries. To increase their economy of Britain, they grabbed the resources which is available in South America. It's another one part. The precious metals, particularly silver from the mine located in the Peru, Mexico, and enhance Europeans' wealth and finance its trade with Asia. It's like the Europeans, they got minerals from the South America. They got a money, they got increase in their wealth. Then they started to get raw materials from India. By having that money, they started to get raw materials from India. They started to finance the Indian. Why? The India was ruled by the Britishers. So that reason, the Britain, they used to send the money to the British government in India to rule the Indians. It was a condition. The the Portuguese and Spanish conquest or colonization of America was underway. So America, like the France, Portuguese, British, and the Dutch. This all the group of people are the countries which is there in the Europe. So this group of people from the different countries in the Europe, they have conquered and they acquired the different parts of the world. Is it not? The most powerful weapon of the Spanish conqueror was not a conventional military weapon, but germs of a smallpox which they carried. Like a Spanish, they have carried the like a smallpox. It's a disease, illness. They have carried this virus, smallpox, into the many other, not only having link with other countries, not only acquiring the areas of other countries, they also started to spread the diseases. The America's original inhabitants had no immunity against such type of diseases. American originals, means who took birth in America, they will be having a slight fall of sunrise, and they will be not having much nutrition, so they will not be having much humidity to what you call to avoid or also to be away from these diseases. These diseases all being called spread because of this European Spanish. They were spread towards the world. So not only having connection in the trade and the commerce, these diseases also got spread. This is how the pre-modern world was there in the before beginning of globalization in the world. The pre-modern activity was like this, the beginning of globalization. So I hope you understood about this concept. Thank you. Have a nice day.